Hello, it's Miss Roberts here, and tonight we're going to talk about ethics in public speaking. Let's begin. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and expand the PowerPoints. Okay, so let's talk about what is ethics. Public speaking or rhetoric is what it was called. It was considered a method in Western culture in building community, facilitating self-government, and sharing important ideas and creating policies. And in America, free speech is protected by law. However, free speech does not mean you're free from consequences. So ethics should be a guide in the public speaking process. And our beliefs, values, and moral principles should determine or are the means in which people determine what is right and what is wrong. So with public speaking ethics, because you have power in having a platform, you have to make sure that you are doing right by your audience. Let me go ahead to the next slide. All right. So because we have responsibility in the platform and the audience, what constitutes as ethical public speaking? Ethical public speaking is speech that is responsible, honest, and tolerant. And we have a clear, responsible goal. So, for example, what is our true purpose? What is the true agenda? Make sure that we respect our audience and make sure we're not offending our audience, but providing information or persuading them to do what is right and offer choices in our messaging. We want to make sure that we're sensitive to and tolerant to differences. Use and provide our accommodations, especially for those with disabilities, hard of hearing, providing accessibility, excuse me, making sure it's accessible for those who um, have hard sight, and make sure to avoid bias and offensive language. When you think about language or conversations that offend you, you might shut down as an audience member. So make sure to have that same consideration to your audience. Make sure to be honest and be clear if the illustration is hypothetical. So because it's one thing or it's one situation to have hypothetical situation. We don't want to present a hypothetical situation as a real one. And if you have real examples, make sure to present real examples. And always credit sources, both verbally and in any written papers that you have. All right. So you might have heard this word before plagiarism, and it's the act of using other person's words and ideas without giving credit to that person. So plagiarism also includes turning in someone's work other than your own, copying words from someone without giving credit, so not verbally citing the sources, and or not citing the sources within your paper. Failing to put quotation marks where it's a direct quote, so separating the author's words from your words, giving incorrect information about the source of the quotation, changing the words, but copying the sentence structure without giving credit, or copying so many words that makes up the majority of your work. So, for example, having a bunch of big block quotes, especially without commentary, even though incorporating stats and quotes is helpful, remember the information backs up what you say. It's your commentary, it's your interpretation of the data that's important, not the other way around. So how do you cite a source verbally? You can provide the following information, and it's also important for your reference page or any bibliography page that you may have. So, for example, you can provide dates, specify the type of the source. So, say it's a website, magazine, newspaper, video. What's the title of said source? Who is the author? Either as a person, a group of people, or a pair or organization. Pause to begin the signal, beginning of a quotation. You can also use transition words as in I quote or someone said, or according to such and such, quote the source, and you can pause to indicate the ending of said quote or use end quote. So you also have different types of credibility. When you're a public speaker, you are providing or you are engaging in an exercise of trust with your audience. So your audience is trusting that you research what you say, and you're doing your best to present a coherent and organized speech. And that credibility can be established at the very beginning, during the presentation, or at the end. So if it's established in the beginning, that is called initial credibility. And with initial credibility, it might be based on a keynote speaker, so people are seeing what this particular person has to say. It might have a title such as doctor or researcher or instructor or an expert in said field, so they have that initial credibility. Or it might be a narrative or testimonial, so they are the credible speaker in their firsthand experience. However, you can also have derived credibility. So, for example, throughout the speech and throughout the trustworthiness and the process of the speech, they the audience grants the speaker that type of credibility because they're judging the or evaluating, excuse me, evaluating that credibility as the speech goes on. So as the speech goes on and they agree, the audience agrees with the speaker is saying, that credibility is derived from that. And then we have terminal, so that credibility happens at the end of the speech. Maybe it's the whole speech is put together that the audience gains trust with the speaker, or maybe after the fact, if the speech or the performance was credible and persuasive. So that's how terminal credibility is granted. All right. So that was a quick video, but I did want you to understand that, hey, as a public speaker, our responsibility is to our audience and making sure in our best faith that we're doing right by them, avoiding plagiarism, making sure that we're citing our sources both verbally and in the paper or in the outline, and making sure that we are keeping the goodwill of our audience in the forefront of our minds and being audience centered. If you have any more questions, please let me know. And thank you so much for listening. Alrighty, bye.